Hello everyone and welcome back to Tata Steel Chess 2026. It's round number 10, and to begin with, let's start with the man of the day, Matthias Blübaum, who crossed 2700 for the first time, entered 2700 club. He will be playing in the candidates later in April this year, and in the last game he beat Gukesh with black, and now he's playing Anish Giri with white pieces, and let's see how the game went. Even though probably most of you have seen this game, let's analyze it again. We have c4, bishop g7, and transposition to king's Indian defense. Knight c3, c5, d5. So he decided not to go for knight f6 and playing classical king's Indian positions, but instead so-called modern lines and plays c5. And after d5, he plays bishop c3. Strategically, bishop c3 is evaluated as the best move according to computer, but as it turns out, I mean, yes, sometimes you have these moves where a computer thinks, it's best. But practically speaking, it might be very difficult to play from human standpoint. Therefore, I mean, you'll see what happens in the game. Dark squares are weak. And that's what Matthias will try to expose. So e5 is played, we have d takes e6 en passant, bishop e6, bishop d3, and now knight f6, knight e2, knight h5. So why not knight f3? It's just knight f3 can be played. It's just, I don't know, like knight c6, knight f5 immediately offering some traits. And I assume if knight d5 would be played, it's more or less equal despite white having two bishops, just because the bishop on d3 is terrible. Yes, bishop on g5 will develop itself, but I mean, I can play h6, if bishop h4, I'll play g5, and it should be fine for black. So knight e2, knight h5, now castle, knight c6, and f4 is played. So also the idea of playing knight e2 as opposed to knight f3 is exactly pushing f4 pawn. And now guess what? f5, and it's a threat which black have to deal with, and it's a bit annoying, I would say. I mean, if I was, let's just quickly take a look at it from the black side. I mean, you look at this position for the first time. There is dark squared bishop, the pawn just pushed f4, threatening f5, and you somehow need to deal with it. And yeah, if king was maybe castled, you can consider playing f5, but I don't like it. So yes, there are some problems for black immediately right away from the opening, but as you might see by looking at the evil bar, computer says it's equal, even though I think it's not. Bishop d7, h3 is played, queen e7, g4, knight g7, and now f5. And guess what here? Again, f5 threatening some f6, maybe bishop f4 ideas. And again, there is no immediate danger for black pieces, like yeah, f6, yes, there is one immediate danger, like f6 is a threat, so queen h4 is played. And now knight f4, protecting the pawn. So queen g3 doesn't really lead to anything, because after king h1 the king is actually safe. You can play knight f5, rook g1, and then queen h4 back. Actually, yeah, queen h4 is actually not best. Computer says there is knight d3. What a smart move. Now the idea is if rook g3, knight f2, you win the queen back, and also potentially attack the pawn. And if, let's say, king d3, I think it's just a very good position. Takes, and then something like h5, threatening to take on g4, opening up the h file. So yes, technically it looks like black are getting out of danger, and h5 was played instead first. So that's quite interesting. So h5, I kind of see why it was played, because Anish wants to open up h-file and checkmate his opponent. And that's the move many people would play, actually. Like, I would probably think of h5 in the first position, in that position. But king g3 and a5, you see that what came to my mind first. Because kind of you attack the bishop, you hit the bishop, and then you can try to play h5 once king is on h-file. But now, knight g2, queen h3 takes, and rook f3. And it turns out this queen is in some type of danger. Queen g4, bishop goes to 2, g takes f5, rook e3, now trying to play takes f5 with check. Queen g5 takes, knight e7, queen d6. Now f6 ideas are coming. I'm not sure. There are just a lot of discovery attacks, like rook e5, and then I think primarily rook e5 actually, just because you threaten the queen. Queen cannot go to h4 or f6 because queen blocks, knight blocks, and you're kind of exposed. Maybe rook e4 is easier. But yeah, it's a tough position. Bishop c6, threatening checkmate, so you've now gotta protect. Plays rook e4, blocking the way for the bishop, so queen now has to move, and now queen g2 takes bishop f5, bishop g5, and Anish simply resigned. Just because there is no chance for him. I mean, now there is a checkmate that being threatened. If something like knight d6, knight c6, yes, you stop a check, but bishop f3 is coming, and rook e1 is coming up next. Even if you try to play something like this, I mean, now there's bishop c6 and queen e7 checkmate, so it's tough, because that's an immediate threat, rook e1 is a threat, so just a lot to deal with. And just like that, Matthias won back-to-back games, is now in 2700 club. What a tournament for him. He only lost to Sindarov, he made a draw against Aravin, Hans won against Vincent, drew Jordan, Arjun, Prague, tied down Wengen, and now won back-to-back games against Gukesh and Anish, and will be playing Vladimir Fedoseev, Dirbek Abdusarov, and Yağız. I think it's actually not a bad finish for him. If he wins one or three of these games, I mean, it's going to be huge for him. Now let's take a look at the second game, and we immediately see this beautiful position. And actually very entertaining one, because Gukesh could have lost the third game. Or not the third, the fourth game in this tournament against Yağız Kaan Erdoğmuş. So knight b6 is played, and after he takes b6 to e8, technically white are up on exchange. But guess what happens? You cannot really take the queen right now, just because there is a background checkmate, so you gotta do something else first. So we had bishop a6 on the board, and guess what happened next? Rook a6. I'm not sure, it's lagging a little bit for me, I'm not sure if you can see it as well. So rook a6 was a huge mistake. Here Yağız had an insane combination, and it started with rook d5. Now the idea is if bishop blocks, you just get the queen out, or oh, you know what, you take. And now it's a problem, because e takes d3, queen e8, and if queen d3, you take on e8 and you win the game. So you cannot really do it. And if queen now, let's say, goes to e6, you can play queen e7, you can play, yes, so that's actually the main idea. If queen e7 or queen e6, guys, the same thing happens. Guess what happens? I'll just give you a position, because, you know, I opened a Twitter at some point today. I was like, Gukesh is losing another game, and I was like, what? So here, why queen e6 is a bit confusing, because there is rook d8. So queen e7, queen is still under attack. If queen a7, then queen b4, and suddenly queen activates. This queen on a7 is just terrible. You don't really have a good way to develop your pieces. Instead, what was supposed to be played is queen e8. And now after queen e8, rook e4, guess what? You cannot take because of rook d8. And now after queen f8, rook d4, you're trying to play rook d8. And now let's say bishop b5, trying to block this. You play rook d8, bishop 8, and rook e1. And now there's no escape. You take the bishop, and of course we'll win the game, because that's the best black can do. But of course, that's just completely winnable. Rook e5, I don't know, rook e3, rook b3 idea. And Gukesh could have lost, but instead we had rook a6, which is a blunder. Now again, you cannot take due to rook a8 and background checkmate, so b takes a6 was played, queen a6, and now queen d4, and black are playing up a pawn. Queen b5, rook e5, queen b3, g6, and we'll switch the sides. Takes, rook endgame, still somewhat, I can't say, I mean, to me it looks a bit drawish, but again, I mean, on this level, probably players know what they're doing. Rook c6, king d7, king c7 now to spawn under serious pressure. b4, rook a4, rook e8, rook a7. Yeah, the king is cut, this king is about to take the pawn on c4, it becomes complicated. Rook c6, rook d7 takes, and now the king is just cut from the side of the board, and now king walks to b6, let's say rook c1, king b6, rook b1, there's just too many ways to actually play this position. Rook c4, trying to push, then king b5, then rook c3, and then slowly you're improving, pushing the pawn, and this will promote. And Gukesh wins another game and is on 5 out of 10. What's surprising is he made 4 draws in the first 4 games, and then 6 next games ended in decisive results. So he first won against Taidan Wengen, then lost to Nadirbek, then lost to Anish, then beat Vladimir Fedosiev, then lost to Matthias, and now he beats Yağız, and tomorrow he will be playing Arvin, who is in somewhat a bad shape, but again, you never know. So, and then he plays Hans and Vincent. In that, actually, a tough pairing, I would say. He plays Hans with black, he plays Vincent with white, and Arvin with white. So Arvin with white, he has a chance to win, I guess. And again, Hans, yes, because Hans is very impulsive and, you know, you can win a game against him. So then we move on to Vincent Keymer versus Arjun. This was surprisingly somewhat a fast game to conclude. So a6, bishop a4, knight f6, we have Ruy Lopez on the board, and once again we'll get to a critical position here really quickly. So knight h2, the idea is of course to go knight g4, maybe go rook f1 and then push f4, c4, queen f3, takes, h5 is played, knight f5. I already like white's position just because you have a lot of space, you have bishop g5 ideas, you have queen g3 plans, and just try to checkmate the skin on g8. g6 is played, knight e7 takes, and now bishop g5 has a huge pin on this diagonal. King g7, rook d1, queen e6, bishop b1, rook d8, king g3, knight c4, b3, knight b6, and now f4, finally activating the pieces. And yeah, computer says it's just completely lost for Arjun here. Queen f4, queen goes to f2, bishop f4, knight f3. Looks like the pawn structure is just too bad. The white pieces are better coordinated, better placed. It's tough to play. So we have queen g3, knight d4, knight f5, rook f1, small reroutes, bishop d2, knight h6, knight f7, and of course it already looks like that lost. So rook e7, knight b7, and now bishop e3, bishop comes to d4, there is no escape, knight goes to f6, queen h4, threatening to go queen h6, threatening bishop h6, threatening bishop d4, Arjun simply resigned. Arjun is not having a good tournament, he's losing 18 rating points technically, and he will be playing very tough. He has a very tough end to this tournament. Yava here, who is on top, Jordan, who is on top, and Nodirbek, who is leading the event as of this moment. So, and he's 4 out of 10. It's tough, man. Those super tournaments are complicated, like, and when you don't have a lot of experience, I mean, I think Arjun doesn't have a lot of experience playing in these events. Like, yeah, he played in quite a few of them, but still, I mean, you know, for someone like, let's say, Nadirbek, he's been playing in top events for probably a lot more than Arjun does, and the same can be said about, but let's say for Yava here, and we'll discuss it later, Yava here plays probably one of the first super tournaments in his career, and he's doing pretty well. So, and this is where the drama happened. So as you might see, Van Nguyen has an extra piece. There is not only, there are 2 pawns for the piece, but still, I mean, it's tough to find a way to lose this one actually. But e4 is played, bishop e6 was a first mistake. What was supposedly played is d takes e4. But again, for Tai, he wanted to win this game. He knows that this looks more like a draw unless he plays the best move, which is bishop c6. And he, of course, wanted to play for a win. He plays bishop f6, king f3 is played king c6, bishop f5, and now he plays bishop f7. So the best move here would have been takes, and now king takes. I kinda see why you don't want to go for this position being low on time, because time played a crucial role in this game, because now king c6 or king c7 is the best move. Now let's say king e5, you're trying to push, and now king d7, and you have to give up this pawn, and after knight d6 it's apparently kind of don't understand at first, like what is going on here, but knight f5, and if let's say this pawn is taken, I believe there is simple knight g3 and knight f1, some g3, g2, and it's winning. But again, it's very complicated. Like, I'm looking at this position, let's say I have some problems understanding why certain position would be losing and other position might be not. So e5 is played, and now it's indeed a draw. You don't have a good way to protect this pawn. This is protected. It's tough to you know, take this pawn. You still have to spend time to take this one as well. So king b6, king f4, king king c7, king g5, knight d8, bishop g4, bishop e6, bishop d1, and now king comes to f6, g4, g5, g6, g7, and good luck stopping this pawn. King f6, g4, attacking the knight, knight goes to f4, and after e6, simply admitted his loss. Because guess what? There is no checks, so if you take knight e6, that's losing. And if you play king d8 and you think you kind of safe on e8, but the problem is bishop went on d1 for a reason, that bishop a4 checkmate. So just like that, the position turned from winning to losing within a couple of moves. And Aravin, yeah, he's no longer lost, even though he was before this round, because he won against Tai, and he could have actually be on 4 points while Aravin would be on 2.5. It looks like Aravin would be in the last place, but now Aravin actually gets ahead of him. And after 10 rounds of play, interesting table. Knight 6.5, and then there are 3 people within striking distance from him. So Knight loses 1 point within 3 next games. He plays Jordan, he plays Matthias Blübaum, he plays Arjun. Those 3 guys are tough to beat. And if those guys, one of them, gets up and catches up with Norderberg, who knows what might happen. So we then have Hans and Yağız. Yağız could have won the game and actually be here with Norderberg, and that would have been awesome to see. Then we have Gukesh 5 points. I think it's safe to say that Gukesh is probably not going to win this event. It's just, yeah, there are 3 rounds left. You gotta win all your games to be in contention. Let's say Norderberg draws 3 remaining games. He has to win 3 remaining games, so it's complicated. And so far, yeah, Arjun 4, Prag 4.5, Anish 4.5, 5 points Vincent, Vladimir, and Gukesh. So let's see what happens in the remaining 3 rounds. I'll see you tomorrow after round number 11. See you soon. Bye bye.